What's up, everybody? It's Soren Baker here on Unique Access Entertainment. As always, please hit that subscribe button. It's right down there and it's free. That enables us to keep Coney as often as possible with as many interviews as possible. So please hit that subscribe button, like our content, share, talk about it, be about it, each one, teach one. And we appreciate your support in getting us this far. And of course, get your Unique Access shirt if you haven't already from the good folks over at slangsmith.com. Now, today we have the honor and privilege of being joined by Soul Messiah. Thank you so much for coming through.
Peace. Thank you for having me, homie.
Yes. And we got the new album, God Complex, out now worldwide. Congratulations on that.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Yes. So as a man, I've been listening to your work for a long time, and it's definitely a lot of the production and the people that rap over you have a lot of spiritual stuff that they mention, discuss, etc. within their music. So how and why did God Complex end up being the title for your debut album with Rhymesayers?
So God Complex is basically us. It is man. Okay. The reason I say that because the complex can be a physical structure or it can be a mental state. The way I use it is the physical structure of man. In the body of man is embodied what we call God, the spiritual nature. Everything is in the body, from the base to the crown chakra is what we call God or whoever, Allah, Yahweh. It doesn't matter. The point is all the same energy, and that energy is encompassed in man. It's just you have to decide whether you're going to go on the negative or you can go on the positive. So I chose God Complex so that I can show those attributes of what God can be and the possibility. And each MC on that album expresses that in some sort of way. They drop in some type of jewels, and that's very important to me.
And why is that important to you?
It's important to me because the earth can't move when earth moves in the negative direction, then we move in a negative direction. Music is a powerful, powerful tool, and most cultures are based in what it is. Like, I'll give you an example. Whatever's going on the earth, it affects us. So we put the energy out. So if I put out positive energy, we're going to have positive outcome in the music. As we know right now in music, there's a lot of negative energy is going on. It's a lot of debauchery. There's a lot of, because we think that sells, so we got to do that. And we follow that. If you go back a couple of years, remember, it was popular for Public Enemy. It was popular for Rakim. It was popular for Lauryn Hill to do their thing. And people would emulate that. So I want to make something that people can emulate that will be positive, that will bring good change in the communities.
Well, you bring up a point that has always baffled me. So I want to get your opinion and insight on this, because at the time, Public Enemy was platinum and was among, if not the best-selling rap group. And then you look at Boogie Down Productions, X-Clan, Poor Righteous Teachers, and later, you know, you mentioned Lauryn Hill, who obviously had a lot of conscious stuff. So throughout rap history, often the people who said stuff that was socially conscious, Black power, politically minded, however you want to look at it, had a lot of success. So why do you think the perception is people don't want to hear that?
Because that's the perception that's put out. We deal with media, but we don't put out negativity in our media. But the media that is more powerful, the ones that are running things, look, I've been in them offices, what they call the offices. I came from that side originally. And a lot of times people say they only want what sells. That's not true, because what you sell is what sells, right? So you could say, no, people like negative stuff. Sex sells, all these things sell. Yeah, it sells because that's what it's put out there. So the question you got to ask, I guess that's what you're asking. Why do they put out things that are so negative and that sells? And then when you come back now with something positive, it seems like it's not popular because that's not the purveying, it's not the dominant culture right now. You know what I mean? I mean, there's other reasons for that. I'm not going to get into it right now of why predominantly you see people of color and Black people in particular being shown as lower, you know what I mean? Lower beings, the way that people act. They only show that. They won't show the uplifting stuff. But I do know that what we put out is what we get back. So like I said, my mission is always to put out what I call God Hop. You know what I mean? I'm from the hood. I'm from all that. I understand that. I understand the streets. I navigate them every day. But the reality is children are watching. You know what I mean? I'm not saying you got to do gospel rap at all times. All I'm saying is like the stuff that I put out is real. I did Young Jeezy's first album and I did Sa-Roc's last album. So I got the duality. I understand it. I work with a lot of the young rappers, but the reality is I try to make sure that the music I put out is influencing in a positive manner.
Right. Yeah, but balance is key. And that's why someone like Ice Cube, who you could argue had negative quote unquote commentary, also had some of the best insightful, positive, uplifting knowledge, wisdom, understanding we've ever heard. So,
Exactly.
So with that being said, on God Complex, you have King Crooked and Sa-Roc on the title track of the song itself. So as you were constructing the album as a producer, as an executive, as a musician, all these different things, orchestrator, how and why did they end up being on the title track?
Those two ended up being, well, it just makes sense that Sa-Roc is be on the title track, not just because we affiliated, but she's one of the best MCs in the world, period. A lot of people can argue that, except when they listen to it. If you don't have the bias that most men on planet Earth have, we have a thing is where we think women are normally less when it comes to lyrical, but we know that's not true because we did have Lauryn Hill. We did have a lot of them before her, but right now it's not many people. She's went toe to toe with some of the best masters. You know what I mean? She sparred Kung Fu with Black Thought, crazy. She sparred Kung Fu with Inspector Deck, which people haven't heard yet, crazy. But the reason I chose them too, because they're some of the strongest voices that we have lyrically in hip hop right now. So to me, Crooked is hard to match with anybody. And Sa-Roc is the same way. So when you put them two together, I mean, iron sharpens iron. It's crazy.
Yes. And Who's the Star kicks off God Complex. And one of the things I love about the album, and it starts with Who's the Star, is you have lots of or regular amounts of scratching on there. And obviously you have an extensive DJ background. So why is that important to include, given that unfortunately it's fallen out of favor, I'd argue to a large degree, but why did you want to make sure to incorporate a lot of cutting and scratching on the album?
My thing is, like I said, I did with the culture of hip hop. That's 4 facets: b-boying, MCing, DJing, graffiti. The cover, it's not graffiti, but it's art and it's colorful like graffiti. The MCing is a given. The DJ and the cuts, like you said, has fallen out of favor, but it's more DJs right now than we ever had in the past. Now, if the mainstream shows it, that's another thing, but we know the culture. We know we have the Scratch Pickles. We have the legacy of Rock Raider. Rest in peace. We have all of these, I call them gods of hip hop, and that aspect, much like when the DJ got pushed in the back, a little in the 90s, the DJ was pushed to the background. But I wanted to make sure that I'd include that because a lot of kids don't even know what that is. They DJ on their computers. They don't know the wax. You know what I mean? And you know, like my dad asked me in 1981, "What are you doing to the record?" You tearing my needle up. We want to let them see what that tearing that needle up is like. But I wanted to make sure I put that facet in.
Okay. And speaking of the facet, also throughout God Complex, you have Wakil Allah doing a lot of the spoken word interludes and talks. What made you want to incorporate him in that manner?
So, well, I wanted to put skits on the album because traditionally we love the classic hip hop albums got skits, right? De La Soul, Tribe Called Quest, Public Enemy. A lot of people had skits, and I love skits. Excuse me. So I was like, if I do my skits, I'm gonna make sure it's got jewels in it. I chose Wakil Allah. Me and Wakil go back years, 30 years, 32 years. He's an author, a writer. He got a lot of dope books. And I know he's a stand-up guy. And I know that the information that he's gonna give is gonna be something that's well accepted. You know what I mean? He's a well-respected writer, author, and thinker. So that's why I chose him. And I love, like I said, I love skits. And I didn't put all the skits I wanted. I said maybe next album I'll get into it. But I just wanted to, for this initial offering, to it's kind of a pure offering. It's straight jewels. Now it might move around. Like, I'm glad you brought up Ice Cube. He's the perfect example of that duality, of being able to give this side of the hood, but also this side of the hood. You know what I mean? So as I grow, the music will grow.
Okay.
But the skits are very important to me.
Yeah, I think they add a nice balance and different things to think about throughout the album. And also throughout Complex Limitless is one of my favorite beats on there. And that one is a little darker, more menacing, and I think stands out for those reasons on God Complex. So, how and why sonically, from the production standpoint, did that song fit on God Complex?
And I made that specifically for Evidence. And if you know Evidence, it fit him like a jacket, like a fresh pair of pants, some shoes, and a hat. Like I believe in production. I believe it's like tailoring clothes for the MC. So the music is the clothing and the MC is the person. And you can't, if you wear a size 34, I can't give you a size 42 pants. So I do the same thing with the music. And I tailored it around what I felt that Evidence would be able to shine on. And I think he did that.
I agree. That's definitely one of the standouts of many throughout God Complex. Also, I thought Freedom was particularly powerful in that one. I liked the way musically you changed with the sample and the dramatic changes that go on sonically on the song. So
Mhm.
sometimes that doesn't happen with songs, including yours. This one it does. So how and when do you decide to do it, and what made Freedom a place you wanted to explore that?
You know, Freedom, I wanted to, I've worked with Stickman from Dead Press, well, Dead Press period, for years. I did the song Hell Yeah with Jay-Z, actually. I produced that. But my thing is, most times I think you're speaking to in hip hop beats, it's a straight through loop, sample, or movement. Majority of my music, I sample. I don't hide from that. I sample, but I also play live over stuff. So I have live bass players. They're singing on there. Sa-Roc is singing a hook with the sample, and I like changes. So I love Stevie Wonder, right? Donny Hathaway, Stevie Wonder, Curtis Mayfield. If you listen to the music that they used to make, it doesn't stay in one place. The intro is one thing, the verse is something, and the hook goes somewhere else. It goes left. I like that. I like it to get big. I want you to know that the hook came in. I don't want you to be able to just play it through and you don't know what came in. Some music is good for that. Like the music, the song I did for Evidence, uh, Limitless, it's a vibe all the way through. But with Freedom is more dynamic. So musically, I wanted it to change in the hook, and you knew that the hook was coming in. You know what I mean? I believe in, if you remember, drummers would follow the singers and they would accent when they do certain things. I'm into that. I'm into moving with. So if I give a beat to an MC, he or she gives me back the lyrics. I will end up changing the beat to follow their words in the tempo. So I like moving things around in the music. You know what I mean?
But
I like it to be.
that
Go ahead.
also ties into actually producing. So it's not
Yeah,
just looping.
yeah,
It's
not just beat making and looping,
yeah.
right? It's
No,
production, right?
it's a big difference. And speaking of samples, the hard way, of course, the famous LL Cool J thing on there. But
Mhm.
the thing I was interested in is that sample as a producer, that LL Cool J from the end of his Dangerous from the radio album, it's been used so many times. So as a producer, how do you know when, like, hey man, this has been used, 300 times. I don't care. I'm still going to use it because it's perfect in this scenario. How do you balance that? How does that
Well, as
work?
you can tell with that song, it's three sisters, and it's an ode. It's paying homage to Bahamadia for her joint Three the Hard Way with Primo. And so I was like, I gotta use it. I always loved that. You know, I mean, I don't know how old people are watching this interview, but when I was younger and I heard that, it was just so hard. It reminds you so much of Fantastic Five and the Cold Crush Brothers and all of them. It's one of them things I think people will continue to use. I hope they continue to use it. But some things are just classic and you just have to include it. Because I used you could hear some of the different skits from movies that I love. Like one of my favorites is Wild Style. You know what I mean? So I love taking movies and putting them in music because we grew up on kung fu, hip hop, and and cars and cartoons and comics. So I
Yes.
like to include that in it because that's a part of the culture.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, and visuals, of course, are as well. And Soul Supreme, the single, you have the video for that. And I was interested, especially on the first verse and the first part of the video. Uh, you guys are more obscured especially when the raps are happening and everything. So why did you guys want to make it a little more visually mysterious as to what's going on in the beginning of the Soul Supreme video?
So Supreme, or are you talking about Limitless? Which
No,
one
the
you talking-
Soul Supreme video.
Oh, with Cambada?
Yep.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, Cambada is he's a mystery in himself. You know what I mean? Like his whole persona is bugged out and mysterious. So I worked with this director named Tommy Nova, who does most of my videos, and especially all of Sa-Roc's videos, actually. And he's a hip hop head. He's a producer, rapper himself, and he just understood that Cambada is such a mysterious dude, and this is the first offering. So let's give it that in the beginning here. You see, you talking about how it goes in and out, and it's dark, and then it brightens up by the end. I just like that vibe. Indeed.
Precisely.
I like it. Word.
Okay. And of course, you got the KRS-One sample on there from DOS Effects, Represent the Real.
Mhm.
And I always like it when KRS-One gets sampled. But I wanted you to speak on, for me, growing up, loving how that type of stuff was incorporated. Now that we're decades into rap's existence, when you bring in a KRS-One sample, and people may or may not know the DOS Effects song it comes from, but when you do that, how do you think that affects the tone of the music, the feel of the music, what it means to people, compared to, say, in the 80s and 90s when we were first hearing this happening?
I mean, I think that, like you said, a lot of people don't know. So what you're doing also is you're injecting that culture into today. Plus you're keeping it alive. You know what I mean? And it's a different sound from what we normally hear. It's funny you say, like, majority of popular music, and I'm not dissing it, but that doesn't exist at all. You know what I mean? So there's it's funny, I always say, people are like, yo man, just sell music to the little kids. Little kids don't buy music. So I mean, who you selling to? The majority of people that listen to hip hop are 35 and up. It's more of that. I mean, when I say hip hop, you know what I mean by hip hop. I don't mean just rap, just good hip hop. And they actually cherish that music. So it's kind of nostalgic. Make sure I put KRS. I think, is that the one? No, the other one I got, Andre 3000 on it. But I love putting rhymes that hit us in their rhyme form when they rapped them, and then inject them into music on hooks, because it brings you back to where you were in 95, 93, 91, 89. You know what I mean? So it's just a little bit of nostalgia, stuff that I love. I do what I feel. That's the whole point. I don't do music to please people. I do what I feel, and I hope what pleases me pleases other people.
It seems to be working out.
Yeah, it's working out, man. It really is. Like I said, I've been doing this for a long time, and I ain't had no problems since the beginning. Everything has been working.
Congratulations, and sending you more of that.
Be sure to check out the History of Gangster Rap by Soren Baker. He's official.
History of Gangster Rap features exclusive interviews with Ice-T, Snoop Dogg, MC Ren, the D.O.C, and dozens of others. The History of Gangster Rap, a definitive look at how Los Angeles changed rap forever.
In Los Angeles, the streets definitely set the tone of the hip-hop music.
At 19, I got a $50,000 car.
My whole angle always was, I'll be street, but I will always tell you the horrors that go along with this life.
There will be penalties and casualties for just wearing the wrong color in somebody's neighborhood.
And once gangster rap made it from the streets to the TV, the genre exploded.
With Fab 5 on Yo MTV Raps with NWA.
Yo MTV, it just catapulted us from being local heroes to national gangbang rappers.
The History of Gangster Rap discusses it all from 1980 up till today.
It's always gonna be shit happening in the streets. You know what I mean? So it's always gonna be something to talk about.
The History of Gangster Rap in stores now.